Hiya.
It's the end of year roundup.
Yeah, a chance for us to recap all the terrible things that happened this year in the world of fashion as best as we can.
Yeah, but before we jump in, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I picked up my paint before we started recording
yeah.
for this thing. We also received this morning a parcel. I think it's from Mr. Big's mum, but they're these like cushions, and they're like linen cushions, yeah. And inside is like wood, not wood chip, but like shavings.
Yeah.
And you put like oil in it, and it smells really nice. But it's got it smells like pine and like cranberries in these pillows.
Very Christmassy.
Really good. So yeah, I'm sat next to these pillows for the calming effects.
For the aroma.
Yeah.
The aroma.
What about you?
Yeah, yes, well.
Okay, I understand. I get
that. We're not going to touch on the big C.
No.
But yeah, I'm currently sat. Mim's got the best view ever of me with my curls and pins.
Yeah.
Looking like someone off of like, I think there's a character of Corrie who was like, was she a cleaning lady or something like that? I feel like
you look like a woman in the 1930s whose husband's gone off to the war, quite frankly.
And I'm just doing my housework before I have to look decent for someone. Is the look I'm going for.
Okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, so this is obviously our first end of year, but we've decided on this format of recapping the top 10 fashion moments of 2020 and seeing where that takes us. We're going to do 5 each. Some of them might be the same. We're going to see. Who knows?
We don't know. Yeah. And it's quite crazy how this correlates with like exactly going over the 6-month mark, really.
Yeah. Happy birthday to us. Happy half birthday to us.
I know.
Oof. Great. Okay, so do you want to kick us off?
Well, yeah, like overall, let's give high level comments on the 2020 year in fashion. What are you taking away from all the things that have happened? How would you describe this year in fashion?
I mean, we didn't get much of a chance to look at red carpet moments and things like that. But I think there was quite a lot of like bold fashion choices made on the early red carpets before, obviously, the pandemic. So I think this year would have been filled with way more like bold fashion moments and stuff like that. We've seen obviously some quite like fashion forward thinking when it comes to shows, and we've seen us all retreat into our athleisure. So that's my little snapshot.
Yeah.
How about you?
I feel like it was a time where we had no idea what was ahead. We didn't know how to respond. We didn't know what to expect in terms of fashion. And a lot of talk about like how are these fashion companies going to rise to the occasion in a whole myriad of ways. And yeah, I think also we've seen a lot of, one of the points that I'm going to raise, but we've seen a lot of like reshuffling, a lot of changing of the guards this year as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, just no one really has a handle on anything, but
that's life, eh?
That is life. Yeah, not a bad thing inherently.
Yeah.
But it's definitely been a year of anything really goes. Yep.
Nice.
Also, I thought, sorry to cut you off, I have a list of some of the most Googled terms in fashion this year. So we'll do it at the end.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I saw the Times has done a quiz on like 2020, a fashion quiz.
A quiz, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to have to send that to me.
Well, the times you have to subscribe to. But anyway, shall I kick us off or do you want to go?
No, you go.
Okay, so I'm sort of going to start somewhat chronologically. And that is with a look from the Grammys that once upon a time, before a pandemic, we had the Grammys in January, and Billie Eilish wore a face mask as part of her outfit before face masks became mandatory. And I feel like it's a really weird, like, premonition, like this look.
Oh, I remember this look, but I don't remember like thinking about the face mask at all.
Yeah, because it was just a like, oh, it's a Billie Eilish thing to do. Yeah. It was just like some kind of fashion statement.
Yeah, this must have been in February.
No, it was in like end of January.
Okay.
So it wasn't, COVID wasn't becoming a problem in this country or in America at that point.
Or in Europe, really.
Yeah. And it was sort of, it wasn't widely known. So it wasn't like it was some preempted thing. So this outfit is Gucci. She's head to toe Gucci. And basically it has a neon green accent that matches the roots of her hair. And then the rest is all black. And this is just like some pimped out Gucci outfit, and she's wearing some sort of like 90s dark glasses, and then she's got this mesh all like embroidered Gucci face mask on, and that was just her look. And I'm like, how weird.
I know
that was a fashion accessory, and
now, before everything blew up.
I can't.
That is and also weird.
I like that she is like doing different things on the red carpet. I know she's making a statement about like not sexualizing women's bodies if they're slightly curvier and blah, 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 blah. But I dig it.
Yeah, same. Mine's, none of mine are in chronological order.
Oh, that was just more because I had a red carpet moment for God knows how long.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's a bit off, but I even forgot that this became a thing. Really small, but TikTok launched, not TikTok, sorry. I'm going to say something about TikTok. Instagram launched in-app shopping, which is a pretty big deal. You know, like, to just be buying stuff off Instagram is weird. And I think the reason why I never really clocked onto it is because I almost felt like you could do that before it was actually possible.
Yeah, I guess they've just taken the fact that a sponsored link, or if somebody, an influencer you're following, gives you a swipe up, it's still all inside the app. So I guess it gives a hub of that. But what it's basically doing is it's like slowly but surely becoming WeChat.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can check out in the app as well, and people are establishing actual stores within Instagram as opposed to just tagging product. So that's massive. And they are trying to become a WeChat, probably integrate like WhatsApp in there at some point, probably. And then also TikTok has kind of blown up. This is the same point. It's to do with like fashion and social media. TikTok has obviously blown up more so like in the West this year, like crazy, because what else are we going to do? And also we need a bit of a laugh every so often.
Yeah.
And like Charli D'Amelio, that, you know, is she a teenager? She's that massive TikTok star and now on YouTube. Yeah, I don't follow them. Her and her sister at all.
Oh, I saw there was massive. Like a scandal about them. That's all I know.
Yeah, they're supposed to be massive. As far as I know, they make a killing. Anyway, she was invited to Prada's autumn winter presentation. Yeah. And so it's we're seeing this like more so people coming from Instagram, TikTok, social media stars, probably YouTubers and stuff, more and more be invited to what is normally recognized as like prestigious events culturally.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I think it was last year was the first year I sort of acknowledged or was aware that any YouTubers or social media stars were invited to the Met Gala. And I think that obviously would have been continuing on this year. So like James Charles was there.
Yeah, so basically him and someone else the year after.
Is it Liza? Was it Liza? I think it was. She did a thing with Vogue.
They get invited by the director of fashion at Instagram. So he gets like a couple of invites and he extends them to like the biggest stars on the platform, basically.
But I think had there have been a Met Gala this year, that number would have been higher. And especially like if there is one even next year, like it will probably be like TikTok stars. Because TikTok's a huge platform. It launches people so quickly and easily. Like it's just insane. But yeah, it's definitely integrated into the fashion world because fashion's constantly having to respond to like the latest social media happenings and craze.
Yeah, for sure. Do you remember the time where some people were like, oh my God, Kim Kardashian on the cover of Vogue?
Yeah. Or even when she got invited to like fashion shows, like she wasn't taken serious in fashion for so long.
She was a reality TV star.
And now there's these kids who have only ever worn like Zara or Forever 21 suddenly get like famous overnight and dressed by somebody, and there's less of a question about it, I guess.
It's really more about like the numbers, if you have a big following or not. That's,
Yeah, okay. Right. Number 3. One of the biggest things that we have seen is people are supporting local. And it's been this huge movement. And I actually think it's probably one of the positives to come out of the situation the world's been in this year. I'll do anything not to mention the word.
Don't.
It'd just be really nice. It'd be really nice to have an episode where we don't mention the word. But yeah, people have been shopping local. People have been trying to support more independent brands. And don't get me wrong, we still love the big designers. But I do think there's been a huge shift in like mainly for clothes. I've noticed it more, but correct me if you've seen it with accessories. I think accessories, it will always still be like you want that logo that everyone knows. But for clothing, people are really trying to support smaller brands. It's been like all over Instagram at like different points, and especially around Christmas, I've seen a lot of people. And anytime there's been a lockdown, kind of any restriction like that, it's the urge to please don't use Amazon if you can avoid it. Please don't like do this if you can avoid it. And I think that's such a great platform for these more independent companies, and I hope it continues.
100%, yeah. And I think that it's been very... Sorry, I got a notification on my phone. And, it was actually a business of fashion one.
Oh, well, loud.
Okay, what was I going to say? Yeah, it's been really grassroots. I've seen a lot of talk about shopping local, as you're saying, with clothing. I think accessories as well. I think there's lots of independent jewelers and people who are at least deciding they want to start their own thing. I think now we're seeing adverts of like, Google had an advert where it was like, support your local and leave a review on Google reviews, I think Barclays had an ad.
The Anthony Joshua advert.
Yeah. There's the Barclays one that's like shop small. I mean, I think like American Express and things like that. And they're all encouraging us to buy from somewhere near. I mean, like if you go on Etsy and, you can see who's selling the item. And at the near the bottom when you scroll down, it says, oh, this store is local to you, i.e. it's within the UK and it's a small business. Shop small and shop local. And so people are picking up on this trend. and making it easier for us to support smaller designers. I mean, I've seen on social media people creating accounts where it's like either small businesses directories where it's like they will post like lots of different brands that are small or like black owned and things like that. So people are kind of coming together and making their own quote unquote yellow pages for small businesses out there. It's really good.
It's great.
My next one is, there's been quite a few changes to like creative directors and stuff this year. So we've had Claire White Geller, who left Givenchy. We had Raf Simons has joined Amuccia Prada at Prada. We had Kim Jones decided he wanted to take on a second job at Fendi as artistic director for like the women's collections. And also Gabriella Hurst is heading up Chloe. So a lot of moving around. I mean, someone's getting a job this year. Do you know what I mean?
I wonder if it's almost like, I guess some of those things would have been brewing anyway, but I wonder as well if it's quite a good year to make some changes. And I mean, unfortunately, yes, like fashion has been affected. There will be people shopping less at these luxury brands, like every business is experiencing. So I kind of also think there's probably less pressure like to perform, because the numbers aren't going to be great regardless.
So this you can chalk it up to the big C.
This is the time to kind of maybe take some risks, maybe try that like new designer and go for it, and hopefully we're going to see some really, really great shows in 2021 with these new people at the helm.
I am looking forward to the new Fendi, because obviously Carl was a big part of it, and also Sylvia. So I'm really looking forward to Kim Jones.
I think Kim Jones has got the right playfulness as well for Fendi. I mean, look what he's doing at Dior.
I completely agree. And I think Raf Simons, it would be nice to see how far he can push the Prada boat out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does there. I think the last show he was maybe a part of, but like he hadn't been there long or whatever it is. Like I want him to get stuck in. I really want to see what he can do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that leads me into other things that have been happening with designers, and we're not going to use the word, but fashion designers have really rallied around the situation this year. We have seen the likes of LVMH make their perfume factories create hand sanitizer. We've seen, and they also did the same and transformed their factories to make PPE for France. We saw Burberry do the same. I think Chanel was doing it. That has been a kind of not a global, maybe not, but a huge initiative that a lot of designers have taken on. And I think that's like fantastic. I think that it just has really, really helped. It helped create PPE quicker than I think it could have been done,
or at least help alleviate the demand for it.
And I think that's a really great cause. Not only are their brands for sure suffering, but to kind of close their production down, to do that, I think for the cause is really cool. And we talked in our Burberry episode about Burberry reacting to sort of the social climate, especially of the UK, and basically like taking initiatives with that. But I think it's like fashion is political, fashion is responsive to the world, and like I wonder if we'll see kind of more initiatives or more sort of charity collaborations or something like that, because I think it really suits the industry. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Like we were talking about in our Burberry episode, how they've extended to supporting children who live in poverty and suffer from food poverty especially. I think it's a really good idea, and it actually reminds me
of a year or two ago when the Notre Dame was burning, and then LVMH threw what I thought was an absolutely ridiculous amount of money at a building. And we were all like, really? It was like billions. I swear. It was like an insane amount of money. So to see them actually
do it for humanity, because I guess some of
philanthropy.
The backlash of that was, well, in France there's X amount of people who are homeless, or what, like and also like we've had rainforests burning, we've had all sorts of causes. And don't get me wrong, Notre Dame is a beautiful building, and it'd be a really big shame if it could never be afforded to be restored. But I wonder if then those sorts of donations should be done in silence.
Yeah, I think I understand how much of a cultural significance the Notre Dame Cathedral is. However, I think that putting money towards things like PPE, things towards the forest fires in the Amazon in Australia, for humanity and for animals and the environment, is a much better use of money. So hats off to
it was good to see them step up for that, because that then might have been a real
I think it would have been a point of contention. People would be like, well, you did this like a couple of years ago. But my next point is something I haven't seen, but there has been a lot of talk about it this year, and that's Emily in Paris.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it? Okay, good.
Have you seen the Instagram account? Oh, hang on, let me find her. There is this. I'm not going to find her now because I don't. Because
I've seen
on here, but basically, this girl on Instagram will tag her on our Instagram. She took it upon herself to basically like discuss all of her outfits, like rate them out of 10 and sort of discuss them. And when I say some of those outfits were just embarrassing,
they're pretty
like
bad.
They weren't even fashion. Some of them were such a cliche. Like Lily James is a beautiful girl, and she's really slim, so she can make quite a lot look good. But like, the clothes were trash.
So for those of you who don't know what Emily in Paris is, if you've been asleep for the past like 4 months or something, but it's a drama, I don't know, series. It's a Netflix original, and it's about this girl who, she's American, like typical American girl, who's like an advertising or marketing exec, and she moves to Paris to follow in pursuit of this like job, right?
Yeah.
So she's like typical cliche story of American in Paris and how it's like a cultural clash. She is like, first off, Patricia Fields, like legendary, like kind of stylist who did Sex and the City wardrobe.
Yeah.
This series, Emily in Paris, was supposed to be touted as like this fashion-centric series. So it's all about the clothes.
Don't get me wrong, though. Other characters are actually dressed so much better than her.
Okay, so this is the thing.
Like, this, like, furore almost is like, there's another character, I can't think of her name right now, she's a blonde girl in it, and her style, she's French, and she's got this French Parisian chic style. And I don't know if, like, Patricia's basically tried to dress... I think I called her Lily James. Did I call her Lily James?
No, Lily James is the...
I know.
She's the
Lily Collins.
Lily Collins, yes.
I don't know if I said Lily James, so correction, it is obviously Lily Collins.
Yeah.
But they dress her... I don't know if they're trying to make her look like an eyesore or like an American in Paris. So a girl dressing how she thinks she's meant to dress for Paris.
That could very well be it, because she is...
But don't get me wrong. There are some Sex and the City outfits that are shocking.
Yeah, there are. But Sex and the City, I think, is done in a far more logical, cohesive way. Yeah. This one is like, okay, so Emily, she's not even like CEO or VP or anything, but she has a new Chanel bag in every scene. The clothes put together is horrendous. It's almost like what a fashionista would have worn in the 2010s. Do you know what I mean? Like the way it's put together and this kind of the idea of being fashion forward and kitsch and funky is the way they've done it is outdated almost, in my opinion, from the looks that I've seen. And it's like, how can she afford all of this? So maybe she's a lot of like...
She's living in one of like, I can't think what they're called. There's a name for the house.
Arrondissement.
The flat at the top. So there's she's living in the top flat of like a Parisian block, and that used to be kind of like I guess the servant quarter, or like where the help lives. So she's in this tiny teeny box of a flat because
if anyone's been in them, they'll know how small these flats are.
I think calling it a studio flat would be too much of a compliment, because you don't have a kitchen sink. Your bathroom sink is the sink. You have literally like a toilet, a shower, and maybe a stove or a hot plate kind of a situation, and a bed, all in the same room. Like,
your living room is your bedroom.
So how she, and like you said, so the plot of the whole thing and the reason why Emily goes to Paris is that her boss was meant to be going to Paris. And so her boss finds out, I think, that she's pregnant or something like that, and she can't then go to Paris. So it gets sprung on this more junior member of staff. But like you said, how this girl affords that wardrobe is like beyond me. And I do think, and like, I know this is like really boring to say, but I do think you need to like work within what's realistic for someone in that kind of a job to have.
100%.
It's so harmful at the moment. There are young girls in school who see their favorite influencer with all these handbags. It is so harmful to watch a film and see, or like a TV show, and see someone who's like in a very like okay job with all this stuff.
You see, The Devil Wears Prada does this in a much better way.
And even Sex and the City, like Sarah Jessica Parker's like, the reason she could afford those shoes is that she barely eats, or like, I don't know, she makes a kind of thing of it.
And also Sarah Jessica Parker, her character Carrie is in those sorts of social circles where she's probably making a good amount of money anyway. And but also I think back to the point where you were saying Lily's character is probably dressed almost badly, perhaps because she's supposed to be this clueless American buying into all these like I can see your face like these trends and putting everything together all at once. And I love a print clash, I do, but I think there's a way to do it, and from what I've seen, it just doesn't.
Not it.
Like Louboutins on French cobbled streets, and she's supposed to be living this fast-paced life. I just don't know how any of this makes sense. But Emily in Paris, I need to watch it, but I think after all these bad reviews that I saw, I was just like, it looks trash.
It's not a great show, and that's not me dragging it, but it's one of those shows that, like, you know what, that's really nice and easy to watch. Like, if you know what you're getting, which is just like a kind of mid-level sort of drama / rom-com type of series, you won't be disappointed. Okay.
Sometimes you need those shows in your back pocket for when like you're sitting there like, I don't know, detangling your hair.
Exactly. You'll have to watch it in the new year and give us an update.
We could do an episode breakdown of Emily in Paris.
Okay, cool. So my next topic is the fashion legends we lost this year. I know that's like a little sad one, but...
You know what? Okay, sorry. That notification that I got earlier from the Business of Fashion was about...
someone else dying?
Yeah. So model Stella Tennant dies at 50. Oh. And I'm not sure who she is. I need to check. Hold on. I'm going to put my phone up to the camera so you can see. Do you remember?
I think so.
She's been in a lot of stuff. Oh my God. Okay, please go ahead while I,
While you mourn the loss of Stella. So we've lost Indian fashion designer Wendell Rodrigues. We've lost Japanese designer and founder of Kenzo Takada. I'm butchering these names.
No, you're doing well. You're doing well. I support you.
And the Italian footwear designer Sergio Rossi.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's been some big names, some big sort of brand owners passing away. And ironically, but obviously not, those aren't the shoes that have been filled this year. But yeah, so it's been a shame. And I think we discussed it before when I think it was one of our fashion stories. But Kenzo Takada dying is basically kind of like he was one of the last like
end of an era type.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a bit of a sad one really, but hey, these brands have established themselves enough to still be going, so that's got to be like such a positive. Imagine creating a brand that upon your demise and your death it continues.
Yeah, that's really true.
We interrupt this broadcast to remind you, go follow us on Instagram, Style Over Substance Pod. Shoot us an email, styleoversubstanceP@gmail.com. Find us on YouTube, find us on Twitter. We've got all the links on our Instagram. You know what to do.
Oh, well, the next one, what number are we on at the moment?
I think this will be number 8.
Okay, I'm going to try and make it good.
Because I've got only one more.
Okay, that's fine, because then number 10 will be my list of terms that Google...
There you go.
We've all been Googling. Okay, great. We would be remiss if we weren't going to talk about the whole impact of Black Lives Matter's protest and how it's impacted on fashion in particular. We've seen brands being called out, being held accountable, being challenged, people leaving their jobs, new people being appointed, pledges and kind of new communities burgeon because of like a summer of hot protesting. It's not a secret to know that the fashion industry traditionally and still is dominated by someone of a certain background, coming from a certain family, with wealth, with privilege, with access. And, although there are lots of people who want to join the industry and be a part of it, just outright racism and kind of favoritism as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the kind of a parallel of a campaign that Lewis Hamilton's working on with Formula One and his driving. It's a similar thing on a slightly larger scale that Formula One racing, like fashion, you need to kind of have some form of financial support to get into it.
Yeah.
The industry is trying to change in fashion, but I was expected to intern for free. And the only way I could do that, is my parents live near London. So some of my friends had to move and rent in London and then have a weekend job to pay for that rent. So like the only way I was able to do it was that my travel was covered and I still had a student grant during that time because it was a year in industry. But like people also aren't that fortunate. Like they just aren't. And some people can't afford to work for free because they've had to move to a city and they've got to
Yeah, there are barriers.
Themselves.
There are barriers there that stops people from entering certain industries.
And also, I think it's one of those things where, unfortunately, as well, how many Black designers at the top leagues can you name? Like it's not something that we see, and that's a problem.
I mean, Virgil Abloh only a couple years ago was a massive deal because it was like LV, the jewel in LVMH's crown, the men's division to be, you know, creatively directed by a Black person was like, yeah.
And I think also, like, it's really important. I don't know the guy's name. You know, I'm terrible with names. You'll know.
Edwin Edenfell.
That got basically the guy who's the new editor chief at Vogue.
Yeah.
Vogue. And he gets stopped at the door and is basically made to feel like some form of the thug that's breaking into the building, where actually he's the newly appointed editor-in-chief of the magazine. And it's just like, that's not good enough. There needs to be a representation that is somewhat starting, but it's the case of everything. People and young children need to see themselves represented so that they know that they can get to those heights and achieve that. Oh, but also quickly on still the Black Lives Matter, a very similar thing, like you said, with the local businesses. I have seen influencers stand to attention, and they have started ensuring that if, you know how like influencers will do the whole thing of, oh, these are people that I really like following at the moment. They're making sure that is like has a fair amount of diversity, or that they like every now and then make sure that if they don't feel like there's enough diversity going on their page, that they like flag that and say, these are some Black influencers that I think you need to know about.
For some people, they might hear that and be like, well, why do certain influencers have to call, like, you know, bring attention to certain other Black,
because we need to level the playing field.
Yeah. And you have to think about it in this sense that two influencers could be at a similar level, and a brand will approach both of them. And, you know, we've heard cases of like big YouTubers or fashion stylists, bloggers, whatever, are being offered either no pay or very little for certain contracts, whilst we see other big bloggers and stylists and whatever out there are being offered $1 million deals for their association with certain brands. And like being invited to all these events and all that stuff. And so they get more and more access and exposure to these big gigs as a result of it. Yeah,
it's important. On to what I think is also a somewhat important thing was Harry Styles graced the cover of Vogue in a dress, and everyone lost their shit.
Oh my God, yes.
And I remember I saw someone's reaction, and this is like what kind of like is the perfect explanation of how I feel about Harry Styles in a dress. Women dress very like androgynous, and women want to wear a tuxedo and stuff like that, and no one says anything. Like kilts and all of this stuff is actually a heritage for men to wear regardless.
But
also, ding dong, it's 2020 and he's doing that to make a difference in other people's lives. And like,
but also,
that's not the first time we've seen a man in a dress.
Thank you. That was my point. Like, Harry Styles is not
RuPaul's Drag Race has surely got to be one of the most popular TV shows in the world these days.
And in terms of TV, such a cultural icon. Do you know what I mean? In terms of gender.
We all know he's a flowery dresser. Like, he likes to push the boat out with fashion. He likes to redefine what a man should wear, and that doesn't mean that you have to put him in a box or whatever, but like, it's just a dress. It's Vogue.
I know
the shit that people wear in Vogue, the like nonsense stuff like that gets put in those like broadsheets. I mean, we haven't mentioned it on here yet, so I thought we needed to discuss the fact that it's just a man in a dress.
And it's not just that. It was like Harry Styles is like, oh my God, look at what Harry Styles is doing for the culture. And it's like, do you know how many like really fashion forward people think they were doing in the 80s and the 90s? And they were like some of the first to kind of really push the boat out when this was unheard of. We've seen men in dresses. We've seen Billy Porter in a half tux, half ball gown.
Yeah.
On the red carpet, custom made. I think it's just really intriguing. It's just because he has this massive following, and it's like, you know, he can't do any wrong. If he does something, it's so talked about and so popular. I don't think it was a massive deal, but it was a massive deal for some reason. Well, you know. My last one is, if I can find my notes, one sec. Oh yeah, okay. So as kind of mentioned before, we've seen a lot of reshuffling, especially at Condé Nast. And my last point is that at the end of the year, Anna Wintour has been promoted to Queen of Everything at Vogue.
Official title.
Yeah. And congratulations to Edward Enninfeld for then again getting another promotion. So I believe he's going to be heading up all the titles in Europe for Vogue. Wow. He's going to be like the European editor. I don't know exactly, can't remember what the exact title is.
I bet he'll never sleep.
Oh God, no. But what we've seen is that they are letting go of some of like the editors for individual Vogue publications and are trying to merge it into one big operation. Will that be good for the diverse sort of coverage, fashion coverage, spotlight across different countries, or will it all become like Americanized? You know, everything in the magazine is going to be American stars with American fashion and stuff like that. I don't know. It's yet to be determined. But I think it's amazing that Edward's been really recognised for all that he's done in the past, year or 2 years, I think he's been at Vogue. And it's a really big deal to be,
No, I think that's a great thing. I hope they will have, whether it's called an editor-in-chief, but I hope they have someone who is quite significantly involved with ensuring that Vogue Italia is still true to Italy and is, you know, using Italian photographers and like, you know, embracing the culture likewise for all other European editions. But it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And I wonder if this is a very like strategic thing for Vogue. I wonder if it's a financial thing for Vogue.
Oh, I think it's probably financial, yeah.
But I wonder if it's something they've been meaning to do for years. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to see sort of if the covers, like you said, are diverse. If we saw every month like the covers, if you can tell the same sort of brain is behind them all.
Yeah, I think only time will tell. But I honestly don't know how Anna Wintour can get any more jobs. They just keep making up roles for her. That's how I feel.
It's like a make-believe promotion, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't think she could get higher, so
neither did I. It's like it's one of her kids like married to the.
Maybe they have to do it to justify like a pay increase or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I don't know.
Go on, Anna. You're a fashion editor of like arguably the world's biggest magazine, but you've had the same haircut and sunglasses for the last however long.
I'm not mad at the haircut, but
it suits her.
The glasses, they're not nice.
I don't even know if they're branded. I can't. They might be like something.
They
on
could
the
be
side.
Amazon Basic, and and none of us would know any better.
But I've always found that sort of like somewhat bizarre that she's responsible for telling us that we need to buy things. And she has not bought a new pair of sunglasses. I mean, obviously she has, but she has not changed that style for donkey's years.
I love glasses and sunglasses.
I'm like surely she wants options.
I know, but the thing is, those glasses don't go with any of the dresses she ever wears.
No, they're so bulky. For her ladylike chic look,
and they're too black as well.
Yeah, she could do with a tortoise shell, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think that oval kind of shape is helping. You know,
but realistically, it's to hide half of her face.
So many better ways of doing that, though, especially coming from like the most influential fashion editor the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay, that was our 10. I'll recap.
Do you want to run through your Google terms?
Okay, yeah. So, most Googled fashion terms now. Do you want to guess one of them?
Is one of them to do with tie-dye?
Yeah.
Is it like, how could I do tie-dye or something?
Well, I don't know if it falls under the how to, why category, but tie-dye is something that was Googled a lot. I think it was in like one of their top 10.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone, like, I think there was Bella Hadid doing some tie-dye in her back garden. I saw a picture. Tie-dye always and forever close to my heart, to be honest. We really don't need the big C to appreciate some tie-dye.
No, but it was just an activity people enjoyed with some extra time.
Yeah. Next one. Do you have any other guesses?
I'm not sure. You go and I'll see if something conjures up.
Right. So the next one, I'll go with an obvious one. Casual fashion trends. Everyone was looking for, what can I wear at home? I think also there was a lot of Googling for cashmere items. I don't know if that featured in the top 10, but I'm sure it's kind of a result of Googling cashmere fashion trends. Then next we have is suits.
Really?
Yeah, suits.
You know what? This sounds like a journey for somebody, doesn't it? It sounds like somebody thought, I'm working from home. What's some casual wear I can have for my at-home life? They've probably then got to a point where they feel like they haven't really dressed themselves in a significant amount of time. And some form of the return to work is starting to happen. Maybe they've gained some weight. Who hasn't?
Yeah.
Or maybe they've started Pee with Joe and became slim, and they've got a new suit.
Yeah, it's a weird one. We can come up with some lines of logic there, but it is also a weird one that people were Googling suits.
Yeah, this year.
I think people are just looking forward to being bigger and better and bolder and getting
maybe
some
they
really
wanted
good
that
looks.
Statement suit. Yeah.
Okay, next one is Y2K fashion.
Young kids.
Y2K fashion. I don't know. Maybe it's TikTok and the like.
Yeah.
But I mean, 90s fashion, Y2K, it's been percolating for a while, hasn't it? But I think we've just got a lot of time to be crafting, making some nostalgic things, playing some nostalgic games, and just like revisiting our golden era.
Oh, God.
Then the last one I have is quite funny, actually. It's cottage core. Do you remember normcore? Okay, so it's cottage core is basically, you know how there was this rush to the rural, everyone was like trying to get out of London. I think it's following on from that same sentiment. So everyone was like in their argyle and their chunky knits, and that became a kind of trend, a leisure or a leisurely way of dressing.
Amazing.
Comfy clothes, probably Barber jackets on your like walks in the park when we had nothing better to do. I think it comes from that. So cottagecore is like this spin-off of what normcore was that we had. I don't know, I think it was about 5 years ago. And normcore, correct me if I'm wrong in the definition, but it was like really like, it was a really boring, bland trend. It's really hard to describe, but you can feel free to Google it. So those were the terms, not in any particular order, but some of the biggest kind of terms and things we were Googling in relation to fashion this year.
Interesting.
Really
I wonder
weird.
what it will be next year. You can't even think that far ahead.
I can't even taunt myself of what 2021 has in store for us. But
hey, we just know the end of the 20s. Lord knows how long we'll be in this situation. But we'll have some roaring 20s at some point. That's for sure. We
will definitely have the roaring 20s. But yeah, just want to take the time and say thanks to everyone who's been listening. Since we started this, I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I'm really grateful that I managed to, or that I've been able to spend how many odd hours speaking to my dear school friend, catching up on a weekly basis, something we haven't done in years.
We're
years.
terrible at communication normally, so this has been great.
We would like meet up every so often, but I think this has really grounded us in a new era of our friendship. I think. For sure. And
also, I don't think we ever talk about fashion when we're together, so it's been really nice.
Not really. I mean, we've moaned about our jobs a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, look, well, here's to the next 6 months.
Yeah. And also, so thank you to Scarlett, and thank you to all the listeners. We've had like a spike in interest recently, so we're really happy about that. But yeah, as always, like, we're here to listen to your suggestions, your criticisms as well.
Yeah.
And all the other topics that you'd